UCs in Cal States are 10th and 11th grade only, and then you are allowed up to 8 semesters worth of honors or AP credit. With that being said, there's certain courses that the UCs do not approve as honors level. I'm going to have Rob talk about essays for the first part, and then after that, I am going to go ahead and go through the UC application. Okay. So again, if you guys want to type in your questions into the chat box, we can go ahead and answer those for you when we have a chance. And then if we can't get to all of them, I will save the chat questions and I will answer those and provide you those answers when I'm sending out the recorded webinars. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Rob so he can talk to you guys a little bit about the personal insight questions.
Welcome back, everybody. For those who are joining anew, my name is Rob Schwartz. I'm a counselor here at PCG. And we're now talking about the University of California application and more specifically, the 8 personal insight questions that you are offered. You're going to complete 4 of these 8 options. It does not matter which 4 you complete. Again, options are all about your options and not which ones are best for the University of California. What I do think is important is there's a strategy that you want to be mindful of as you go through this process. The first thing I want you to be aware of is you want to try as best as you possibly can to give 4 distinct stories of who you are and what you care about and what you bring to the table and what your experiences are. Remember, these are complete strangers who have likely never met you, likely will never talk to you or get an email from you. They want to try to understand you and understand your context. And if you tell them kind of the same thing 4 times, they're not really learning anything new about you and they're not seeing a lot of depth into who you are. So be mindful of what kind of a picture are you painting more broadly by sharing these 4 narratives of who you are and what you care about. The second thing that I want to reinforce is something I kind of started with in the last session, which is this idea of have a blank sheet of paper just for the UC personal insight questions. And I would draw 8 equal circles, 4 on the front, 4 on the back, and label them 1 through 8. And much like I had mentioned in the last session, anything you can think of from your life experiences that you could address in one of these prompts, go ahead and write into those circles. This is a free writing response, if you will. Shorthand, 1 or 2 words. I have this experience that would answer this leadership question, or I have this experience within class that would talk about overcoming a deficit or a great learning opportunity. Whichever question you want to address with this value, write all of those values in, and you can use them as many times as you want in this preliminary stage. In a second step, we're going to look at all the duplicated items that you've written down. So if you wrote down a summer learning opportunity in South There we go. Okay, sorry about that. So understand that we want to make sure that we have this, let's say this great experience in South America over the summer where we learned a lot about the ecosystem, we learned a lot about deforestation, and you're really into environmental causes, and you could talk about that in multiple essay prompts. Go ahead and write that in for each of the essay prompts you think is valuable or could add value to that prompt. Ultimately, we only want to tell that story 1 time though. So now in the second round of sort of basic idea editing, in which of these circles, in which of these prompts are we most likely to use this item the best? Remember, that's all we're looking for is the best. When you get done with this first round of jotting ideas down, you'll probably end up with 1 circle that you didn't write anything in. Don't feel bad about that. That's actually a benefit to you. We're only going to answer 4 essay prompts out of the 8 given. so that you have one essay that you really have nothing to contribute to, yay, put an X through that circle, we're moving on, we're down to 7. Now we go through and kind of really nitpick which story about ourselves, which experience about ourselves is going to contribute most positively to our outcome that we're shooting for. There's another big issue that I think we need to spend a little time talking about, which is this notion that for whatever reason, your generation seems really comfortable denigrating yourself in writing, but you struggle to really kind of pat yourself on the back when you've done a good job. So I have found that there are certain questions that are a bit of a trap for certain populations, and I want to address those. Question 4, describe how you have taken advantage of a significant educational opportunity or worked to overcome an educational barrier you have faced. Similarly, number 5, describe the most significant challenge you have faced and the steps you have taken to overcome this challenge. How has this challenge affected your academic achievement? There is a real opportunity to open yourself up to a lot of negativity in these essays. Remember, someone is reading this application and they're only taking about 10 minutes to get to know you. They're looking at your classes and your grades, and well, they're not going to look at your test scores in the UC this year, apparently. They're going to look at these 4 personal insight questions. They're going to look at the list of extracurricular activities, and they're going to try to ascertain a lot of information. And most importantly, do you fit their community? They're going to do this in about 10 minutes. It doesn't give them much time to come to a conclusion. So if you're writing these essays and basically tearing yourself down and couldn't do, and this, they're going to start to feel that negativity, and that's not something that's going to excite them about inviting you to their party. They're looking for positivity, they're looking for personal growth, they're looking for development, they're looking for courage, they're looking for all the positive attributes that you would think about. You want to try to highlight those as much as you can. So when we talk about that 5th prompt, describe the most significant challenge you have faced. The challenge can't be the majority of the essay. The challenge is a small part. How you overcame that essay is the essay. How did you overcome the achievement, or I should say, how did you reach the achievement by overcoming the challenge? That's what we want to understand about you. So understand that how compelling can you tell your story? That's the big deal. And shedding that negativity and looking at that positivity becomes a real big deal. There's one other question that I also want to make sure I'm addressing. This notion of number 8. I've also found this is kind of a tricky prompt. Beyond what has already been shared in your application, what do you believe makes you stand out as a strong candidate for admissions to the University of California? The big issue here is, hold on. Sorry. The big issue here is, how do you differentiate yourself from a population that is essentially several 100,000 students? What is it that you're doing that makes you stand out as a strong candidate? There really has to be some meat on your response. It can't just be, well, I'm a good student and I try real hard. Guess what, guys? If you're applying to the University of California and you're a serious candidate, everyone can make that claim. So you really need to think very carefully about it. How do you stand out? What is it that makes you a unique candidate? As unique as one could be. It's not like you've cured cancer or you've been to the moon. They know that. But you really want to take some time to hone in on what makes you special or different compared to other people that you could not use in another prompt. That's where number 8 really comes in. Looking at a couple of the other prompts for consideration. Number 7, what have you done to make your school or your community a better place? That's a very broad use of the term community. So when we focus on school, well, that's a very easy subject. What have you done on campus or around campus to make your community being the school, a better place? But when it says your community could be literally anything. So don't be afraid to, if you're going to tackle this prompt, talk about a bigger topic that is meaningful to you, and your community can be just about anyone or anything. Um, Number 6, thinking about an academic subject that inspires you. Describe how you have furthered this interest inside and or outside of the classroom. I would encourage you, if you're going to use this topic, that there better be an inside and an outside. Show colleges that, yes, I've been introduced to the course subject matter and I've taken a course or two, or maybe even more, depending on what it is, within the confines of the classroom. Now, that classroom might be an online opportunity. That could be a community college course. But then there's the outside of the classroom. How have you really experienced this in the real world? If you can't make that claim, you're going to have a tough time making a convincing argument that you've really fleshed out why this is so important to you. I want to come to question number 1. Describe an example of your leadership experience in which you have positively influenced others, helped resolve disputes, or contributed to group efforts over time. The overwhelming draw that students have is to believe that the only way you can answer prompt 1 is if you hold a leadership title. You are a club president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, or you founded the club. That is not necessarily true. Understand there's a huge difference between leadership in title and leadership in role. You could have no leadership role and you can demonstrate extraordinary leadership. So think outside the box. If you're going to address this prompt, think about how you have. It's about the character that we're trying to bring forward. Okay? Again, I'm going to remind you that the writing process takes time, guys. This is not something that you can just bang out in a couple of days. You're kidding yourself if you can, or you just have a gift. When I say that, if you have a gift, that's great. But again, in my 10 years of doing this, I've found there's less than a handful who truly have that gift, where their writing skill is brilliant. They don't make, grammar, syntax, word choice mistakes. They write beautifully. There's great flow. There's likability. I'm reading and I'm smiling and I'm nodding as I'm going through this process. And it's obviously within the word cap. And the word cap is something else you really need to focus on when you're talking about personal insight questions. You only get 350 words. That's not a big Common App main essay type of deal. Common App gives you 650 words. That's almost twice the space. So you really need to dial in and speak to what is the most important value in this essay and drive that moment home. Don't try to cram in 3 or 4 different things into one essay. There's just not enough room to give any real depth. Lastly, giving yourself time is a really important part. But you also want to make sure that you're telling your whole story. Be genuine to yourself. I know that seems kind of like a weird piece of advice, but be genuine to yourself and your story. If there are things that are really important to you and we're not finding out about them in these essays, you're failing yourself. We need to be able to understand what are the things that are core to understanding you and your passion and your power and your charisma and your life's ambitions and whatever those types of things would be. If we're not learning about them and you're kind of nitpicking yourself along the way, how you didn't do well enough, or you failed this assignment, or you struggle with X, Y, or Z, those are footnotes. The story is overcoming. The story is shedding a light on what an amazing person you are, because we want to invite you to our party. That's what this is all about. So take the time to be the best writer you can be. I will tell you, in an opening draft, generally speaking, pay less attention to that word cap. In the editing process, then we start to tighten the screws and really figure out how do we take whatever the essay size is and fit it to the manageable size that we're given. But if you're writing an essay and you're a first draft personal insight question and you write 400 words, I'm going to tell you that's fine. Yes, you're 50 words over budget. Great. That's why you have editors help you to squeeze some of those ideas down. Take 3 or 4 words in a phrase and turn it into a single word. Get rid of a single line that maybe doesn't really contribute anything to the overall message. That's why you have an editor. Now, if you're writing 500, 550 words, all right, you're clearly not in the ballpark, and that's going to require such a massive renovation that you really need to do yourself a solid and do that first edit on your own and decide, what am I saying that doesn't have to be said here? Or is it a topic that is so complex that you can't really address it? So maybe we go and move on to something else. Be flexible in this process. I've had plenty of students who are like, okay, I've got my 4 all picked out, I'm ready to go. And then they write those essays, and 3 of them are great and we can polish them and make them perfect. And the 4th one is just a trash fire. It's not going to be resuscitated. We might need a 5th prompt that we need to tackle. So be open to this idea of going back to the drawing board and looking at all those circles and all the information you filled in. And maybe there's a backup question that we might need to get to make sure we're putting our best face forward. Remember, this is a character judgment for you guys. It's not just a, how well do you write? No one is going to, grab their red pen and edit your essays as they're reading. They don't have time. Like I said, you're only getting about 10 minutes of a reader's time at the University of California before they make a judgment on your application. They're not reading for specific grammar, syntax, word choice, but they're looking at the overall thematic element of the essay. They're trying to get to know you. So give them that opportunity. And again, if you have a good editing team, they're going to find the overwhelming majority of the little ticks, and we're going to fix those up for you. So don't worry. Stay in your lane, meaning don't use the thesaurus to try to write your essay, because it will become obvious that there are words you're using that just don't fit who you are. If that's how you speak and that's how you think, let that language come through. We can do a little bit of polishing and editing, but we want the message to be genuine to who you are. You deserve that. The colleges deserve that. Be genuine. If you haven't started writing, as I said before, I said in the last meeting, you better start now. Give yourself the opportunity to give yourself 3 to 4 good drafts of each essay that you're writing. And understand that you might be saying, well, Rob, we're not even in October yet. What's the big deal? Well, for many of you, you're applying to 8, 10, 12 colleges. Some of you, I have students who have only 3 or 4 essays they have to write. I have 1 or 2 that have to write 40 essays. If you think you're not going to be working at warp speed for 3 months to get that kind of workload done, you're kidding yourself. Those are the same students who are taking 4 or 5 AP classes. And there's only so many hours in a day. Why make this painful? Why make it painful for you, your parents, your editors? Pace yourself. Each time, push the needle forward just a little bit more, and you'll find that this process that you just watched your senior friends go through last year, where they're running around like they were on fire, and you'll find it's not that hard. It really isn't. If you pace yourself and you do good work over a long period of time. If you rush this, you will create problems that simply do not need to be there for yourself, your family, and for us. Let's work together as a team. Let's be mindful of our goals. Let's be thoughtful in the process, and let's achieve our dreams. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this was helpful. Lindsay, I'm going to turn this back to you. And for those of you students in the room, if you have specific questions for me, please email me, as I'm going to be adjourning at this time and giving Lindsay the floor.
Rob, I do have one question for you that a student asked real quick.
Yes.
Stylistically, how different should the UCs be written versus the Common App?
Stylistically, I don't think there's a specific difference between them. Like, one is expecting X and the other is expecting Y. They want a genuine story on both fronts. So there are plenty of students who will cannibalize essays and use them in multiple application formats. Mm-hmm. It can be done. It can certainly be done. But be cautious of the idea that the Y Chapman essay versus the Y USC essay, those are not the same essays. Those should never, ever be cannibalized, because the reasons you're choosing those schools are quite different. You need to be able to answer those very specifically. But if it's a question about yourself, if you have a really great 350-word UC essay that you feel like it's great, but man, if you had a little bit more space, you could really tell more of the story. Terrific. You can cannibalize that and use that in the Common App main essay and expand upon it. I've had plenty of students do that. But just as a good rule of thumb, don't put a square peg in a round hole. If it really sounds like it's the same essay, go ahead and cannibalize it, use it, tweak it. But if it's really not the same story, don't for convenience sake plug something in that you know doesn't really fit. And people who read over and over and over and over, and that's all they do for 3 months, they're gonna know. Trust me, they're gonna know. And that's gonna get you kicked out of line. Great question.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, guys. Have a great afternoon.
You too. All right, guys. So I hope you found that helpful. If you have any other questions, about essays, definitely let us know. But I know we've been working over these over the past few months. Okay. So what I'm going to do for you guys right now is I'm going to go ahead and log into the UC application, and then we are going to start going through that, and I can answer any questions that you guys have about the UC application at the end as well. Okay. So if you guys, like I said, go ahead and log on in if you want to follow along. I don't pause for really long periods of time to fill them out. It's just in general, this is the overview and this is what the colleges are looking for. But there would be some opportunities for you guys to fill in some questions if you'd like. Okay. So now once you've created the application, it's actually going to take you through the semester that you are already, that you do want to apply for, which obviously for you guys is going to be fall of 2021. There was an old application I had on here, so I'm going to be moving into the fall semester 2021. Okay. Now from here, I'm just going to be, let me close this out. Okay. Going through each individual section. Some of them I'm going to be going through a little faster because again, it's just general information that you need to fill out with name, address. Okay, so personal information here, you're going to be filling out name, preferred first name. Some of you may have a legal name that you go by, but you have a preferred first name that might be on some of your documents as well. So that would be fine. If there are any, it says like a different legal name. I've had students in the past where they may have changed their, their first name and documents that were matching previous academic records were different to what they are now. So if that was the case, you do need to make sure that you have all names recorded on your application. If possible, it's better to just get all supporting documents such as transcripts and test scores to all have the same name that you have now. Okay. But otherwise it's general information like date of birth, where were you born? Okay. Similar to the Common App. Home address, okay, they're going to want you to go through and enter obviously the country that you're in. They're going to ask you to put in your, I'm going to put this in just in case I need it. The address here, similar to Common App, needs to be for the parent that you are living with, okay? If your parents are divorced. Okay, it should be the financial information we are using for financial aid purposes. That is your home address, because a lot of students go back and forth between both parents. Okay. Phone number, they may communicate with you. To be honest, there aren't a lot of colleges that communicate with you via text. Okay, a lot of it is going to be done via email or through college portals. Okay, so again, it's just very important for you to constantly check your email. You should be on there 2 to 3 times a week. Okay, I have had some students, because they get so much junk mail, they actually create an entirely new email address for application and college purposes. You are welcome to do that if you'd like, so that you can keep track of everything and you're not missing stuff. Because I did mention that they're going to be, sending you important deadlines that you're going to need to be aware of. So just be sure you are constantly checking it. Okay. If you want to provide an alternate phone number, you can provide parents' information if you wanted to. Okay. And then they are asking if they're able to share your contact information with other UC campuses and programs. This could be certain outreach programs. It could be different scholarship opportunities. So if you want to go ahead and share that information, you definitely can. Okay. Citizenship. Okay. They just want to know if you are a U.S. citizen. There could be a dual citizen as well. Social security number. Again, you should be indicating putting down your social security number if you are applying for financial aid, which most students will be applying or at least submitting a FAFSA. Okay. Regardless, we always tell our students to go ahead and submit a FAFSA, because on one end, if you are not a need-based family, it is possible that they sway the admissions decision towards you just knowing that you're going to be a full paying student rather than requiring any type of financial aid. So that's something that Trevor will talk more about in the financial aid portion. Okay. Now for residency purposes, obviously it's for admissions and there's different criteria. So they just want to make sure that you are a resident of California. Okay, so one of the questions that you're going to come across is, by the time that you attend, will you have graduated from a California high school? Which for most, if not all of you, would be the case. Okay, and then they want to just confirm that it was for 3 or more years. So you guys will be going through this when you're plugging in your information. Okay. Demographics. Again, if you consider yourself like Hispanic or Latino, you're going to go ahead and indicate that there. You can check off any boxes that apply to you. Okay. And then you're just going to be finishing up based off of racial background. Okay. So it could be like white, Caucasian, of European descent. Now they have a lot more options for you to select from now, just based off of your orientation, obviously. So you would select whatever applies to you here. Okay. Okay. Background information. So they want to know what language you learned to speak first. Okay. So now this isn't being fluent in a language that you learned in high school or middle school, for example. It's just, what did you learn to speak first? So it may be English only, or it could be English and another language. So you would just indicate whatever applies to you. Okay. And then they want to know more about you. This is you specifically, not about your parents. I know some students get a little bit confused when they see I am married or I have children. This is you as a student, not your parents. Okay. So for most of you, it would be none of the above apply to me. Okay. And then they do want to know if you're a dependent of a U.S. military veteran or service member, just because there are certain benefits that would be able to be used towards like a UC school or a Cal State, for example. Okay. Household information. So again, who lives with you at your permanent home address? Is it one parent because divorced and we're indicating the parent whose financial information we're using, or are they married and you have your 2 parents as well? Okay. So whatever applies to you, go ahead and indicate that. And then for total income earned in 2019. So what you're going to want to do here is you would check with your parents, and you're going to be using the adjusted gross income that's on the 2019 tax return. Okay. So I'm just, and they want to know the number of people that was supported. So this would be your parents, you, any siblings that you have as well. Okay. Now, the reason that they're asking for this is it is for fee waiver purposes. Okay. So if it's low income, there is the possibility of getting fee waiver for some of the schools. Typically, they're giving you fee waivers for about 4 of the UC schools, and it's $70 per application. So you could get a fee waiver based off of income, and it will be verified. So obviously you don't want to lie and just put down a lower income just to not have to pay the application fee. So make sure you're putting down what is accurate. Okay. Questions here. Let me see. A question was, I assume it's okay to write that you want financial aid for Common App, but state you don't need financial aid for UCs. That is correct right here. It's just more based off of income. They're going to determine any need-based aid for UCs or Cal States by submission of FAFSA. And then somebody asked if you need to fill out the income. You're not required to. So if it's higher income and you definitely know you're not going to be getting a fee waiver, then that's not a problem. Okay. Parents information. So you're going to be indicating father, mother, stepfather, stepmother. Okay. If they're living, and then you can put in both because I did indicate 2 parents. Okay. Now, through each section, in the about you, the campuses and majors, academic history, once you fill out the information here, it is going to have you verify all information on one document, okay? And once you've verified that, or if you need to make an edit, you can go ahead and click an edit button. But once you verified it is all correct and it's all filled out, you can go ahead and continue on to campuses and majors, okay? So they want you to read through the different community principles and just check off the box that you acknowledge and agree to the principles, okay? And then from here, this is when we're selecting the term that you are applying, okay? So we've selected fall quarter / semester of 2021 at the very beginning when you log into your application, okay? You need to make sure that it is fall of 2021, okay? Okay. Next is we have freshmen. So you're currently a high school student, or it says you've graduated from high school but have not enrolled in a regular session at a community college. Okay. So even if you have taken community college courses, but you are a senior in high school, you are still considered a freshman. You are not a transfer student. Okay. You are only a transfer student if you have taken fall, winter, or spring term sessions at a community college after you graduated from high school. So keep that in mind. It should be freshman. Okay. Now from here, we're able to select the specific campuses. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick a few. Okay. And then what it's going to do is they're indicating the application fee, okay, $70 per campus, and you'll pay once you submit. They're indicating $280, all right? So when you are submitting your application, you submit to all the UCs at once. It's not like the common application where you can submit to each individual school, okay? Like maybe you can apply to Chapman by early action, but apply to Pepperdine for their regular decision. When you are submitting your UC application, you are submitting them all at once. So keep that in mind, okay? Now, you are able to go back in and add a school at a later time to submit if you wanted to, but obviously it has to be done before the deadline, okay? So the deadline for the UC application is November 30th. They don't have early action, early decision. It's regular November 30th, that's it. Keep in mind, you should be applying, like I said, about 10 days early, 5 days minimum. So plan on submitting around like November 20th or so, okay? Now, once you've selected your colleges, it's gonna ask you to select your majors, okay? Now, these schools do allow you to pick a primary major as well as an alternate major, with the exception of UC Berkeley. Berkeley only allows you to select one. Okay, so what we do here is we just select choose major, and you can go by the different colleges or by category. Okay, so if I just wanted to look within colleges, and let's just say I'm going into the College of Arts and Sciences, which is going to have, I'm going to go ahead and do English. Okay. We will hit save and continue, and then you go into the other schools as well, okay? So for each school, you are able to pick your primary major and then obviously the secondary, except for Berkeley. Okay. I do suggest that you also pick an alternate major. Essentially what you're telling the school is, if I am not admitted under English, then I would consider this alternate major as well. Okay. Some of the schools, I brought up engineering as an example in the common application. So let's say you're applying to a school under an engineering major and you are not admitted. They may say, okay, you're pre-engineering, you meet these prerequisites. So they may actually put you under the College of Arts and Sciences rather than their general engineering college. Okay. So if you're going into alternate major, we can just select that here. And then when you have to confirm at the end, they're going to take you through that. But you're going to see here, English is my major, and then geology is my alternate. Okay. I'm going to go through these quickly. I'm obviously selecting alternate majors, just different majors here, just for purposes of getting through the application. But most of you are going to pick very similar majors and alternate majors. And if you're going between a couple majors and you're not really sure which one you would like to pick, you guys always have the opportunity to go onto the college's website and look at the specific curriculum based off of the programs you're interested in, so you can see what types of classes you're going to be taking. Okay, so just keep that in mind. It's always a good idea to look at the courses. I have students that are interested in specific majors, and it could be like, let's just say business as an example. There are a lot of different majors within business. There could be accounting, finance, marketing, management, entrepreneurship, and they're not too sure what they want to do. You don't have to decide right this minute what you want to do, but you do want to have an idea, okay? And if that's the case, you should be logging in to these colleges' websites and going into their business department and say, what type of classes am I doing it for marketing? What am I doing for accounting? And what am I doing for finance? And that's just going to help you when it comes down to actually choosing your major on the actual applications. Okay. So once you've gone through and you've selected the campuses and majors, again, it's going to take you through that general overview page where you've selected your campuses, give you the cost of your applications, and then it's going to give you the majors that you've selected. Now we've got academic history, okay? This is one of the things that actually takes the longest on this application when it comes to filling it in, this in the activity section. And the reason for that is because, again, they want you to input all of the courses and all of the grades that you've received, okay? So they start their academic history off with 7th and 8th grade. Now, it's not every course that you've taken, okay? It's normally specific to language and math, similar to what I had mentioned on the common application when you're filling in the courses, okay? So one question I had real quick is, how did UCs consider an undeclared major versus a specific one? I had a student ask me this the other day because I had students that are passionate about certain careers, and then as they're taking more classes that are like honors or AP level within the sciences, they may say, you know what, I'm not sure if I could handle this particular major anymore. I'm not sure this is the career path I want to go into. You can go in undeclared. Colleges do like to see that you have some type of experience in a particular major that you are choosing. It doesn't have to be that case, but you know, if you were interested in engineering, where there are MOOCs courses that you have taken, you know, are you taking AP physics? Where are you at in your math level? So there are colleges that are going to be considering students, you know, you can go in undeclared if you have no idea what you want to do. But if you have shown passion for a particular subject, and you have experience in that throughout high school, that is something that you should consider declaring. Like I said, I have students that go into health sciences who have taken summer programs like honor medical programs, or they've done the MOOCs courses, or maybe they signed up for a CNA course. And then I have those who say, well, I want to do health sciences because I want to be a doctor because I like Grey's Anatomy. So it's important to show the colleges that you are pursuing something within your interests. And if you are, that should be the major that you are declaring. Okay. So back to the academic history section here on 7th and 8th grade. So they want to know if you took any high school level math courses in 7th and 8th. And what they mean by this, if we see the drop-down menu here, is they're really looking at Algebra 1 and beyond. Okay, a lot of students will take Algebra 1 in 8th grade and then they jump into geometry in your 9th grade. Okay, so typically you're not going, I don't really see very many students that are doing Algebra 2 in 7th or 8th grade, but they are doing Algebra 1 in geometry. Okay, so we can indicate Algebra 1 and they just want to know if it was a full year course or less than. Okay. If you did both Algebra 1 and geometry, then you would go ahead and just click on add another course and you would go ahead and indicate both of them. And assuming that you've done those, you would be jumping into Algebra 2 in your 9th grade. Okay. As for language, so again, some of you will be you take like Spanish 1 in 8th grade. So we can indicate Spanish 1 here. Term period, full year, course category, it would be year 1 language other than English, and then they want to know what the actual language is. Okay. I have some students that are at like an international French school and they may have taken multiple languages and started that very early on. If that's the case, then you would go ahead and indicate those languages here. International school experience. So they want to know if you actually attended school outside of the US throughout middle school. Okay. It's not summer sessions, okay, but it is specifically if you lived abroad or you attended high school. So next we're going to be entering the high school information. So you will need to add your high school. Okay, so they want to know where you attended, California. If it's a homeschool or an independent study, okay, if you attend something like Westlake, Agora, Oak Park, Newberry, El Camino, they're not homeschool and they're not independent study. You are just going to type in the school's name, okay? Okay. Then they want to know if there's any type of specialized curriculum associated with this school. So an example could be Agora High School or Newberry Park, where they have the International Baccalaureate program. If that's the case, then you can go ahead and indicate International Baccalaureate, okay? But a lot of high schools, you guys don't have any specialized curriculum. You may have honors in AP, but that's not what they are referring to, okay? So for now, I'm going to leave that blank because I have it as Thousand Oaks High School. So then they want to know about when you started. So similar to Common App, okay, we're going to go ahead and indicate August of 2017, and then your end date being May or June of 2021. Okay. Now, this part's really important. So they want to know what grades that you attended the high school, and you need to select your academic year, okay? The reason that this is important is, so 9th grade, for example, you should be 17 and 18. Okay. If you were to select 2016 and 17, okay, and move on to the next screen where you are entering in all of your courses and your grades, and you have it under the wrong academic year, when I go in and I review your application, if I tell you you've put down the wrong year and you need to select the right one, it's going to erase everything that you've put in, okay? So you just want to make sure right off the bat you are putting the correct grade with the corresponding year, okay? So here you're going to see 9th grade, 2017 to 18, okay? We're going to go ahead and say 10th, which would be your 18 to 19, 11, 19 to 20, and then 12th, 20 to 20, 20 to 21, okay? So confirm these before you start entering in all of your courses and grades. Now there's a box to the right you're going to see here that if you did take a summer course after 9th, 10th, or 11th, you're going to need to check off that box because there's going to be a separate section where you enter in summer courses after that corresponding year. Okay, the summer courses do not go in with your typical fall and spring like 9th grade. Okay, it's a completely separate section. Okay. And then what is the school's grading system? Again, I would say like 99% of you are on the A, B, C, D, F. There are a couple I know that are 0 to 100, but otherwise you are A, B, C, D, F, okay? And this is based off of what your official transcript shows with your grades being A's or B's. Okay. What is the school's term system? So again, most of you are on a semester system where you're having that fall grade and you are having the spring grade, okay? Even if you're on like the block schedule for like Newberry and you guys, the way your schedule is different from a lot of other high schools, you are still only receiving 2 grades. You are receiving a fall semester and a spring semester grade, okay? They do wanna know if it's going to be is this the school that you graduate from? Yes. And then we're going to be indicating high school diploma, which is going to be the case for most of you. Some of you may be getting an IB diploma. Okay. And then the date to be received, it's generally when you are going to be graduating. Okay. So either May or June of 21. Okay. I have a student asking, what if the summer grades are included in the transcript? You're still reporting it. It just needs to be under summer. It's not specifically fall or spring. And then another question about summer before 9th grade being health. Health is not considered an A through G course, so you are actually not listing that on here. Like health and PE and stuff are not going to be listed. Okay. There may be some schools where they have put it as an A through G, but typically your PE and your health are not A through G. Sorry, I selected May of 21 instead of June. Okay. All right. So they'll have you confirm everything. And then once you've finished adding your high schools, you're going to go ahead and click on this button here. And we're going to start entering in your courses and your grades. Okay. Now, the way that the UC system does it is it's going to be it's a little easier than the Common App because they have a drop-down menu for you, okay? With that being said, there are times where your high school transcript may not match perfectly with what the drop-down is. And if that's the case, there's going to be an option where it says, I don't see my courses, okay? So 9th grade history and social science, you're going to see here, you have the options of selecting the courses that you were enrolled in. Okay. So if I were to select world history, culture, and geography, now it gives me the option of selecting grade 1 for first semester and then grade 2 for second semester. Okay. One of the questions that I had on the Common application from a student is, should you be doing the plus and minuses that you've received on your transcript? For Common App, you would, but you notice for the UCs, they don't give you the opportunity to do that. So you're just selecting the straight letter grade, okay? And then as we go through here, we're gonna see 9th grade English. So again, I'm just throwing in a few examples for you guys here, okay? There are college prep electives depending on what you've taken, okay? Now, if you don't see a course that you were enrolled in, so let's say you took a psychology course, but it was honors and not CP, okay? You would wanna make sure that you are indicating that you took the honors level. So if you cannot find it in the drop-down menu, what you're going to be doing is you are going to select, I don't see my courses, okay? We would indicate that as a college prep elective because that's what it is, okay? They are going to be college prep elective. It's considered an interdisciplinary just for psychology. So I'm going to go ahead and indicate honors psych, okay? The honors type, I will go ahead and say HL, which is honors level. So the honors type is HL, IB, NH, or AP. So what this is, it's honors level, IB, non-honors, or AP. Okay. And again, the reason I'm adding this is because the dropdown didn't give me the option of honor psychology. It only said CP. Okay. So sometimes you will have to actually go in and you will need to type in your courses. Now it'll verify your 9th grade, and then it'll have you move on to 10th, 11th, and then into your senior year, okay? For senior year, the way that you report your courses and grades here is you would select the course that you're enrolled in. So let's just say AP Government, for example, okay? Now, semester 1, if I'm taking AP Government now, it means that it's in progress, okay? Because again, you wouldn't typically have grades yet for your senior year, okay? If it is a full year AP Government course and your class does not switch between government and econ, then you can keep it as in progress and planned. But if your school does switch, what we're going to say here is we're going to go down to no. So what I'm telling the college is I'm enrolled in AP Government for first semester. It's in progress, but I am not taking it second semester. What you would need to do is you need to go ahead and scroll down and find economics, okay, which econ on the UC system is not under history, social science, all right? It is going to be listed under college prep electives. So if I was taking AP Government first semester, but macro second, I need to go ahead and indicate I am not taking this currently, but I plan on taking it second semester. So there may be some classes in your senior year where you need to swap this and indicate first and second rather than a full year course. So just keep that in mind, okay? Next, we have colleges attended while in high school, okay? So just like Common App, you're gonna go ahead and enter in any colleges that you had attended, okay? So for like community college courses. So if we were to click on Add College, it's gonna be similar to the way you did your high school. Okay. They wanna know when you started, when you ended, the grades, okay? So if you attended in 10th grade for the fall semester, you're gonna go ahead and, okay? So what you need to do here is for the start date, similar to students asking me in the other one, like if I'm currently taking it, then that's fine. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and say you did August of 2020, and the end date is going to be May of 2021. That's if you're currently enrolled in a class, okay? So here we can indicate that it was for 12th grade and we have it for fall, okay? So the fall for 12th grade would obviously be 20, okay? Winter session would be 21 because typically it starts in January. And then you would have your spring of 21 and there isn't anything for summer, okay? Grading system is where we would go to A, B, C, D, F because that's the way the grading system typically is for community colleges. If you attended multiple community colleges, you can go ahead and indicate all of those, right? Now, after you've input your college or colleges, this is where you're going to enter in the courses and grades, okay? So this is giving me the courses that Pierce offers because that is the course that I've selected here. So if I did accounting, 001, which is Introductory to Accounting, I would go ahead and select that, and then I'm going to input the grades, okay? If you are currently taking it, again, you've got the in progress, and then you're going to select the subject area, okay? So for accounting, this particular one for your school could be counted as like a mathematics, for example, or it could be an elective mathematics. So you need to confirm with your counselor at school what they are accepting that for. I don't generally have a lot of students that take like accounting as an example, but like if I went through and did it as, let's say a language. So if you took Spanish 1, elementary Spanish, you're currently enrolled. that's going to fit into your language requirements, okay? So there are some courses, again, that you take just for purposes of getting college credit, and there's some that you may take for dual enrollment in order to get credit for some courses that are required through your high school. Your California state ID number, okay? The SSID number would be found on your official transcripts, and this is for students that are in public schools, okay? You're not going to find it on a transcript for private, okay? But you can go ahead. It's not required, but I do recommend that you add it. Again, it's just a way that they can link all of your information together. So you will see it on your official transcript as an SSID number. Okay, it's not your social, and it's not your normal school ID. So here, they're just confirming that I have missing courses because I didn't fill in everything. I just want to show you guys. Now, there's an additional comment section that you can complete after you've filled out your academic section, all right? This is similar to the one on the common application where I had mentioned if there was a particular semester where you had really poor grades and in general you were a good student before then, maybe it was an illness or a death in the family, and you can actually explain why you received those grades, this is your opportunity to do that. Okay. Not everybody's going to have something to write. It'll take you through that review page. So that's one thing that's nice about the UC application is as you fill out each section, they're going to have you review it. Okay. All right, next we have the SAT or ACT. Okay, so they just added this year, obviously, because they are now optional. Okay, so again, when it comes to test scores, if you are within the range of where students are admitted, you can go ahead and submit your scores. I know there's a court order going on right now where they're telling the UCs they are not allowed to accept test scores. So it's possible that this gets taken off. I'm not sure, we don't know yet. But for now, if your test scores are good and you want to report them, then go ahead and indicate that on the application here. Do you have any subject tests that you want to report? So if you took any SA2 or subject test report that you want to be able to show that you are proficient in a specific subject, popular ones that students will take for like engineering, for example, would be like a math 2 or a science like a biochem or physics. If you did well and you want to report it, you are more than welcome to do that here. The AP, okay? So again, AP exams that are planned or completed, okay? So you will indicate the AP exams that you have taken along with the scores that you received or any that you plan to take. It's very similar to the Common App. Okay? So if we want to say that we've completed one back in May of 20, we're going to go ahead and indicate the specific subject, and if you received your score, you're going to go ahead and type in your score. Okay. We can add others, and this is where we can indicate that it's planned. Okay, so for like AP Government or AP Econ, for example, you're planning on taking that in May of 21, and you don't have your score yet, so you're not going to be entering that in. Okay, so you should have all AP exams scores listed here. If they are 3 or higher, do not report a 1, do not report a 2. Questions, let's see. I already explained how to find SSID. It's on the official transcripts. Valley Christian would not have one. And then for AP Government and AP Econ, they are 2 exams. So if you are not sure if it's micro or macro, you need to speak with your teacher. they will be able to tell you if you are taking specifically the macro or the micro. I don't know because every school is different. Okay. Again, IB exams, they're not required, but it could be possible to get some credit. So if you have taken IB exams, you are planning on taking IB exams, then you can go ahead and indicate those here. Or there's also a box to check if you are completing a full IB program. The foreign language, there's the test of English as a foreign language. Okay, this is for international students. So you should all be no on here because you attend high schools in the US. Okay. Any international exams to report, again, you guys do attend high school here, so it should be a no to that as well. Okay. And then they're going to take us through the review section. Okay. Next, we have the activities and awards. Okay, so what they're doing is, obviously, we've already reported all of your courses and your grades, and now you can tell them what you've done extracurricular wise. Okay, everybody should have some type of activity to report. Okay, so here, one of the things that they're indicating is choose experiences that demonstrate commitment, responsibility, leadership, and most of all, genuine interest. This is one thing that I've talked to our students about in the past is when you're volunteering, I don't want you to do it just because. I want you to find something that you're passionate about. Okay, so when you're listing these different activities, like I had mentioned on the Comment app, is list the things that are important to you and list the things that you've done consistently. Okay, what's nice is the UC application actually lets you list up to 20 activities and awards. So whereas the Comment app is half of that. Okay. So when we're going in and we're listing any activities or awards, there's going to be description of categories. Okay, so awards and honors. Now, the common application, when it came to the honor section, it was strictly academic and that was it. Okay, the awards on this particular application, you are allowed to list any awards that you had received for sports. Maybe you entered like poetry contest. You can go ahead and put down any awards or honors that you've received on that side as well. Okay. Educational preparation programs. Okay, one of the things here, it says any programs or activities that have enriched your academic experiences or helped prepare you for college. Okay, educational preparation programs could be if you did any type of tutoring for SAT, ACT, it could be MOOCs courses. Okay, so if you've done any of the massive open online courses through like Coursera or edX or Ingenuity, there's a lot of different things on here. So you'll be able to go ahead and indicate those. Okay. Extracurricular activities, again, hobbies, clubs, sports, anything else you haven't had a chance to tell them about. So extracurriculars could be your school sports, it could be travel ball, clubs that you're a part of, nonprofit organizations. There's a lot of different opportunities. Other coursework here, this is where you can put in additional courses that didn't fit in the UC A through G subject area. A question that I get from some students is like, can I put health here? You can, it's not an A through G, but to be honest, it's not going to add to your application at all. But let's say that there was a special, like a sports medicine type class that you had at school that is not A through G, but it's helped prepare you for your particular major or career you're interested in. That could be something listed under other coursework that you've taken in high school. That would be fine. In general, the educational preparation programs are different from other coursework because the educational preparation programs are something that you've done outside of your high school, whereas other coursework is you've taken it in high school. It's just not A through G approved. Okay. I have a question on what is A through G. So when it comes to like UC's and Cal State's A through G, it's just the specific requirements that they have. So like A would be for English. So the A through G is typically your English, history, social science, your math, your science, your language, visual and performing arts, and college prep electives. So there are just certain requirements that you need to meet in certain courses in order to be even considered for UCs and Cal States. Okay. But like PE, for example, you're taking it in high school, but that's not an E through G course. Volunteering and community service. So again, anything you've done from 9th grade and on, and then work experience. So work experience can also include babysitting. If you are paid to babysit or you're paid to dog sit, that's work. So you are allowed to list that, okay? So when you're listing your activities or awards here, you're selecting from the options with the descriptions they had above, okay? So if we're gonna go ahead and indicate volunteer community service, we're going to go ahead and list the particular organization. So let's say we did Habitat for Humanity. Oops. Okay. And then you want to describe the organization, program, school, or group. Okay. So what you're doing here is you want to explain what Habitat for Humanity does, because there may be certain organizations that you are part of that the schools have never heard about, okay? It's just a very brief description. You'll see it's 250 characters, okay? Next, what they want to do is they want to know what you actually did during that volunteering, okay? So if you had a particular maybe leadership role, you can go ahead and include that on there. But in general, it's what were your duties as a volunteer? And you want to try to be as specific as possible, okay? Another nice thing about the UCs in this category is you're allowed 350 characters, whereas on the Common App, you are allowed 150. So you can go into a lot more detail when it comes to explaining your activities on this particular application. Okay. Now, when it comes to participation, it's going to be very similar to the other application. You're going to go ahead and indicate if you've participated in 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th. And then the way they ask you about your hours is how many hours per week did you do it and how many weeks per year. Okay. Just a reminder with this one is there are it's just a different amount of hours that you spend on certain activities. Maybe you're in yearbook and you spend 10 hours one week and 5 hours on another week. You can average it out, okay? I have never seen a college ask for proof of any type of volunteer work or community service or work experience. With that being said, I'm not saying lie on your application. But if you're putting down 4 different activities and you're telling them that you spend 30 hours a week on each one, they're going to know that you're lying. But if you're not sure when it comes to hours, you can average it out if there's a drastic difference between one week from another. Okay. Now, once you have done that, we will go ahead and you can review all of the different activities, awards, volunteer work, work experience, and you could read through each description. Okay. Next, we have the scholarships and programs. Okay, what you're able to do here is it's just going to give you, I like to expand it all, but you can select certain things based off of your academic major or interest, affiliation with groups, ancestry, and you're checking off boxes so that you can get information on scholarships you may be eligible for, okay? To be honest, I don't think I've ever seen a student receive a scholarship from this thing here, but it doesn't hurt to go in and select some things that do apply to you, okay? This is not based off of you applying for like FAFSA or anything. These are just outside scholarships that they may consider you for. And then we have the educational opportunity program. So what they have here, it's their assistance through like mentorship, academic programs, financial assistance. So if you want to indicate that you are interested in it, then you can go ahead and select that, and you need to tell them why. Okay, so you just need to do a little bit of research on the educational opportunity programs if you're saying this, but it's great when you can have certain mentorship, or if there's Maybe you need some help with like counseling or advising. There could be like maybe a learning disability that you have and you would want a little bit more help than what you would normally get from counselors at school. Then you could indicate that you're interested in this. Okay. Next, after we review this, you're going to have your personal insight questions. Okay, so this is what you've been working on over the past couple months, and Rob spoke to you guys about this a little bit earlier at the beginning. All right, so the personal insight questions is you are going to click on answer for whichever prompt you chose, and then you're going to just copy and paste from the Word document that you have or the Google Docs that you have. Okay. It is 350 words. If you go over, you're not going to be able to submit it. Okay, so you will just go through and mark off those. So next, what we have here is, this would be, I would say, similar to the COVID explanation on the Common App. Okay, so there was the additional comment section on the UC application here that you had the opportunity to really explain any type of grades that you may have received. But this section right here, after the personal insight questions, it's where you can explain unusual circumstances. So if there may have been like a death in the family, for example, or if you're, a caregiver for your family because your parents are working, or so there's a lot of different things you can include here. But again, not everybody has something to write. Okay, there are some things that I would tell some students to be careful with when it comes to additional comments. I've had students in the past, athletes, for example, where they had suffered from major concussions, and what they were doing in the description in the additional comment section to explain certain grades is they're talking about the concussion that they had and how it affected their academics. But in that, they're also saying that they are not over all of the symptoms that are going on because of the concussion. And to me, that's a red flag for the college, because it's fine that you want to use that as an explanation as to why you received certain grades. But if you still say that you are suffering from different symptoms that you may have from that, it is a red flag for them, because they may be concerned that you are not going to succeed academically. So you just have to be a little bit careful with what you write in these additional comment sections. You want to be able to share information that you think will benefit you, but you also don't want to hurt yourself and give them reasons to not admit you. Okay. All right, and then review. And then once you have your application completed and you have the check marks in each section, you're able to start the submission, and then you would submit your apps. Okay. So let's see, a question I have here: should you also describe opportunities you took during COVID in this section? Or use it as an explanation for bad issues. Now, if there were certain opportunities that you took during COVID, you would be able to put that in the activities and awards section. It doesn't need to be included in the actual additional information section. It would really be more like circumstances or details that they need to know about you. But if it's opportunities like extracurricular activities or volunteering or internships, that needs to be in the activities section there. Okay. So that's the end of the UC line by line. Anybody have questions that they want to type into the box and I can answer them? I know we went a little bit over, but also feel free if you guys have questions once you're actually going through the applications on your own, I would be more than happy to answer those. And then let's see what I have here. So one of the questions is, why is one of my honors course not considered HL even though it's listed as honors? Is it possible that the honors type is not correct for your school, so you should input it manually? Okay, so the UC system, there are certain courses that they allow for honors credit and some that they don't, okay? When the UCs calculate the GPA, they have a special GPA that they use. UCs and Cal States are 10th and 11th grade only, and then you are allowed up to 8 semesters worth of honors or AP credit. With that being said, there's certain courses that the UCs do not approve as honors level. So even though the title may say honors, the UCs may not actually count it as an honors course, which is why it wouldn't show up in that drop-down menu. Another question, where can I find my SSID since I attend a private? You won't have an SSID if you are at a private. It's at a public school. But otherwise, thank you so much for attending. I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your Saturday. But hope you guys have a good rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.